सेटिंग करना पड़ता है जूम करें चेक कीजिए मोबाइल में आ रहा है
हो गया
लाइक करना
हो गया बबल किया था
नहीं आपका घंटे का चलेगा
अच्छा
वन 114 आ गया कल 119 कभी आ जाइए, आप कभी आ जाएगा।
आप जाइए,
हैं?
आप जाइए,
आप कभी आते हैं।
उधर से उधर से उधर से।
हैं?
162 लाइक्स,
अच्छा,
209 हो गया ये,
कहाँ पे दे रहा हूँ?
213।
हाँ 213। आराम से सब होते होते हो जाएगा 5। बात एक चला तो जाएगा, कितना लोड लेता है। ये लाइव चल रहा है तो उसमें काहे खड़ा हो जाते हैं? हाँ मास्क उतार के आइए ना।
फ्रंटल में टेंशन ऑन कीजिए, टेंशन ऑन कीजिए, सीधा इधर हो, इधर हो, इधर हो, इधर हो, टेंशन ऑन, सीधा हो,
रोटेशन नहीं है
होगा होगा, लेकिन होगी।
रोटेशन तो ऑन है।
कहाँ रोटेशन है? कहाँ है? क्लिक कीजिए उसको, यहाँ भी उसको क्लिक कीजिए, और होगा, ओके। रोटेशन नहीं है, कितना दिख रहा है? यही रोटेशन नहीं है, रोटेशन स्मार्ट व्यू, स्मार्ट व्यू होगा ना रोटेशन।
हाँ हाँ सिर्फ
करके देखिए, नहीं 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 वो नहीं है।
डिवाइस को ही रोटेट बोलने को यहाँ से रोटेट करा, डिवाइस रोटेट कीजिए ना।
ये पोर्ट प्लेट में तो हाँ हो गया
हाँ हाँ वही है, वही है, हो गया। थोड़ी थोड़ी बैक करिए,
हो गया हो गया। अब देखिए अब आ जाएगा।
हो गया, देखिए।
हाँ ठीक है ना, अपना मोबाइल रोटेट करेगा तो हो जाएगा, उसका हो जाएगा। आ तो रहा है, मोबाइल में ऑप्शन देता है रोटेट करने का, यहाँ सही है।
स्टार्ट प्रोग्राम
हाँ बैठ के रिकॉर्ड करने लगे।
ये मोबाइल में देखिए रोटेट का ऑप्शन,
रोटेट का ऑप्शन आ रहा है।
रोटेट करेंगे
हाँ ठीक है,
तो ये स्ट्रेट रहेंगे ऐसे।
देखिए मेरे में
तो टीवी में देख रहे हैं बोले,
हाँ
टीवी में लास्ट
आप रोटेट करना है।
टीवी में ऐसे दिख रहा है।
उसको रोटेट करो ना, यहाँ से डिवाइस को
डिवाइस रोटेट तो होगी।
ये आप रोटेट इस तरीके से। हो जाएगा
टीवी पे देख रहे हैं उनको नहीं दिख रहा है।
ठीक है,
हम लोग को नहीं दिख रहा
अब हो जाएगा, हो जाएगा।
स्टेज को नहीं, स्टेज कवर नहीं कर पाएंगे सर।
हो जाएगा, आपको
नहीं।
लगता है आपको उतना दिख रहा है?
नहीं दिखेगा सर।
दिखेगा अभी कितना
ओरिएंटल लगाइए ना, हम लोग प्रोग्राम से मतलब है।
वैसे रोटेट उसको इधर करके देखिए तो पूरा पूरा ऐसे इसी में ऐसे पूरा घुमाइए ना 180 डिग्री।
ये मोबाइल में दिख रहा है। ना ना सेटिंग सही है मोबाइल में।
हाँ वो काफी है।
ऐसे ही ना मोबाइल में कहीं रहा पीछे का दिख रहा है। पेड़ दिख रहा है।
Teachers are doctors who heal ignorance and are artists who paint creativity. A very good morning to one and all. Teachers are doctors who heal ignorance and are artists who paint creativity. A very good morning to one and all. Reverend Father Rector, Father Principal, Father Peter, Father Administrator, Father Anthony Prakash, Brother Treasurer, coordinators of all the three wings, respected teachers, XPTA President, and my dear friends. I welcome you all to this warm celebration for a very special purpose. Today, we, the students, are here to show gratitude and pay our hearty tribute to the light of our lives, the beacon in the dark and the hope that gives us strength to survive. Our teachers, who have given impeccable contribution in shaping us. This is a very special day as we are going to celebrate Teachers' Day. The painter of our minds, the guide of our thoughts, and the inspirer of our intellects. The teachers are panacea for the students, not only bookish knowledge, but also taught us to live life with heads upright. With a deep venerate beneath, I wish all the teachers a very happy Teachers' Day on this beautiful occasion.
Now, let's welcome our honorable teachers with their special titles. Fathers and coordinators. Father Joseph Sebastian S.J.
Mr. Righteous,
Father A. Christu Savari Rajan S.J.
Mr. Charismatic,
Father Peter S.J.
Mr. Sapient,
Brother Tony Dias S.J.
Mr. Amiable,
Father Gyan Prakash,
Mr. Versatile,
Miss Kumud Henry,
Miss Perspective,
Mr. Amar Prakash,
Mr. Proactive,
Mrs. Shivani Bhaskar,
Mrs. Sanguine,
high school teachers female. Mrs. Tavishi Singh,
Mrs. Vibrant,
Mrs. Jyoti Mehra,
Mrs. Ethical,
Mrs. Suchita Martin,
Mrs. Coolhead,
Mrs. Nutan Joyce Harun,
Mrs. Hardworking,
Mrs. Viju Suresh,
Mrs. Capable,
Mrs. Anjana Gupta,
Mrs. Confident,
Mrs. Madhumita Sen Gupta,
Mrs. Thought-Provoking,
Mrs. Shahla Kausar,
Mrs. Passionate,
Mrs. Jacinta James Benedict,
Mrs. Candid,
Mrs. Sharka Shafte,
Mrs. Imaginative,
Miss Poonam Gupta,
Miss Quick-Witted,
Mrs. Rekha Kumari,
Mrs. Enthusiastic,
Mrs. Sunita Kumari Jha,
Mrs. Loyal,
Miss Nidhi Singh,
Miss Charming,
Miss Deeksha Valerie,
Miss Quick Learner,
High School Teachers name Mr. V.K. Pandey,
Mr. Buoyant,
Mr. Vijay Kumar,
Mr. Committed,
Mr. Vivek Kumar Sinha,
Mr. Versatile,
Mr. Dharmendra Kumar,
Mr. Inventive,
Mr. Vipin Kumar,
Mr. Bright,
Mr. Ashok Kumar,
Mr. Fun-Loving,
Mr. Yogendra Prasad Dubey,
Mr. Dedicated,
Mr. Anil Kumar,
Mr. Compassionate,
Mr. K.K. Thakur,
Mr. Honest,
Mr. Christopher S.M.,
Mr. Responsive,
Mr. Deepak Roderick,
Mr. Watchful,
Mr. Akhilesh Kumar.
Mr. Empathetic,
Plus 2 teachers, Mrs. Sujita Roy,
Mrs. Hardworking,
Mrs. Madhu Rai,
Mrs. Sociable,
Mr. Raj Kishore,
Mr. Frank and Friendly,
Mr. Uday Kant Verma,
Mr. Emotional,
Mr. Mukesh Kumar,
Mr. Enthusiastic,
Mr. Sudama Ram,
Mr. Reliable,
Mr. Ravi Shekhar,
Mr. Diligent,
Kids Zone, Mrs. Chanda Deshmukh,
Mrs. Calm,
Mrs. Nancy Dennis,
Mrs. Lively,
Mrs. Nandita Angelina Shaw,
Mrs. Sensitive,
Mrs. Soma Mazumdar,
Mrs. Patient,
Mrs. Supriti Chauhan,
Mrs. Personable,
Miss Apurva Kumari,
Miss Perky,
Mrs. Archana Christie,
Mrs. Cheerful,
Mrs. Sunny Srivastava,
Mrs. Philanthropic,
Primary Teachers Female, Mrs. Martina Xavier,
Mrs. Majestic,
Mrs. Bani Sinha,
Mrs. Beaming,
Mrs. Sunita Sinha,
Mrs. Self-Starter,
Mrs. Veronica Mervin,
Mrs. Stable,
Mrs. Mary Saroj Kulu,
Mrs. Spirited,
Miss Rita D. Cruz,
Miss Resilient,
Mrs. Moni Singh,
Mrs. Persevering,
Mrs. Moshmi Roy,
Mrs. Methodical,
Mrs. Rekha Singh,
Mrs. Rational,
Mrs. Rinku Sinha,
Mrs. Reliable,
Mrs. Supriya Lucy,
Mrs. Skilled,
Mrs. Rafa Javeen,
Mrs. Adaptable,
Mrs. Mamta,
Mrs. Diligent,
Mrs. Sangeeta Kumari,
Mrs. Steady,
Mrs. Anju Shashi Khalko,
Mrs. Self-Disciplined,
Mrs. Archana Kumari,
Mrs. Friendly,
Mrs. Anita Singh,
Mrs. Accomplished,
Mrs. Rajshri Narayan,
Mrs. Picturesque,
Mrs. Tanushri Chakraborty,
Mrs. Trustworthy,
Mrs. Kavita Kunjesh,
Mrs. Knowledgeable,
Mrs. Suchita Bhattacharya,
Mrs. Sincere,
Mrs. Dolly Kumari,
Mrs. Dependable,
Mrs. Olive Eka,
Mrs. Orderly,
Miss Priyanka Preskatopo,
Miss Prudent,
Primary Teachers Male, Mr. John Paul Benedict,
Mr. Jovial,
Mr. Sunil Prasad,
Mr. Perceptive,
Mr. Sanjeev Kumar,
Mr. Steady,
Office Staff, Mr. Preetham Marks,
Mr. Adept,
Mrs. Shanti Jain,
Mrs. Meticulous,
Mr. Animanand Lakra,
Mr. Committed,
Mr. Stephen Jerome,
Mr. Industrious,
Mr. Raj Kumar,
Mr. Helpful,
Mr. Yogendra Kumar,
Mr. Skillful,
Mr. Mukesh Kumar,
Mr. Trustworthy,
Mrs. Purnima Rani Ashutosh,
Mrs. Artistic,
Mr. Avinash Kumar Sinha,
Mr. Facilitator,
Mr. Arvind Kumar Mishra,
Mr. Efficient,
Mr. Shripati Jha,
Mr. Energetic,
committee members, Mr. Ravindra Kumar,
Mr. Resourceful,
Mr. Anuranjan Ekka,
Mr. Fastidious,
Mrs. Shagufta Parveen,
Mrs. Shiny,
Miss Preeti Angela,
Miss Pretty,
Mrs. Shweta Singh,
Mrs. Considerate,
Mrs. Sanobar Imam,
Mrs. Sober.
क्या दूं आपको गुरु दक्षिणा, मन ही मन ये सोचूं, चुका न सकूं कर्ज आपका, जीवन सारा दे दूं। आपके प्रति अपनी कृतज्ञता और प्रशंसा को शब्दों में व्यक्त करना कठिन होगा, क्योंकि जिस प्रकार पिछले 1.5 साल से फैली हुई इस वैश्विक महामारी कोविड-19 में आपने जिस धैर्य और अद्भुत सहनशीलता का परिचय दिया है, वह सराहनीय है। हम सभी शिक्षकों को उनकी निस्वार्थ सेवा और गतिशील समर्थन के लिए धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं। प्रत्येक शुभ कार्य से पहले दीप प्रज्वलन हमारी प्राचीन परंपरा है। अतः मैं फादर रेक्टर, फादर प्रिंसिपल, फादर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, फादर एंटनी प्रकाश, ब्रदर ट्रेजरर तथा तीनों अनुभागों के कोऑर्डिनेटर से आग्रह करती हूँ कि वे आकर दीप समर्पित करें एवं श्रद्धास्पद डॉक्टर सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन को पुष्प अर्पित कर समारोह का शुभारंभ करें। दीप ज्ञान का प्रतीक माना जाता है। दीप प्रज्वलन यह सुनिश्चित कर देती है कि प्रारंभ किया गया कार्य कुशलता पूर्वक अपनी संपन्नता को प्राप्त करेगा और उसमें जीवन मूल्यों व संस्कारों के साथ साथ आगे बढ़ने का पथ प्रशस्त होगा। जल जाते हैं वो दिए की तरह, कई जीवन रोशन कर जाते हैं। कुछ इसी तरह से हर गुरु अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। भारत के पहले उपराष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन वह महान शख्सियत थे जिन्होंने हमें राष्ट्र की समृद्धि के लिए ज्ञान का परम मार्ग दिखाया और हमें हमारे जीवन में एक गुरु के होने का महत्व समझाया। जो बनाए हमें इंसान और दे सही गलत की पहचान, देश के उन निर्माताओं को हम करते हैं शत शत प्रणाम। नृत्य भी मानवीय अभिव्यक्तियों का एक रसमय प्रदर्शन है। यह एक सार्वभौम कला है जिसका जन्म मानव जीवन के साथ हुआ है। हम सभी छात्रों की तरफ से नृत्य के रूप में यह उपहार आप शिक्षकगण स्वीकार करें।
Thank you, friends, for your alluring performance. Teachers encourage minds to think, hands to create, and hearts to love. I request Father Rector to bless the gifted souls who work every day to assure a bright future of all the students with immense happiness.
Respected Father Principal, coordinators of the three wings, Father Administrator Jan, Father Tony, ex-PTA President Mr. Ajit Jha, respected teachers and dear students. On September 5th, the nation honors the teachers for their invaluable contribution in shaping the lives of individuals, society, and the nation. We anticipate this day today, one day ahead. And on this occasion, dear teachers, I join the students and the school administration to extend my heartiest congratulations to you for your dedicated service to this institution and accompanying hundreds of students and parents in the teaching learning process. Since years, you have been upholding the Jesuit ideals of education. Last year, unfortunately, we could not honor you due to the pandemic. We must be especially grateful to the Almighty for the opportunity to resume offline classes at least in the month of July this year. Last 2 years have been particularly challenging for you teachers. You had to suddenly equip yourself with the technological skills required to conduct online classes and get accustomed to and become comfortable with the totally new format of teaching, the virtual platform where you were exposed to the parents and others. Thank you for humbling yourself to become students. However, every challenge enhances our skills and capabilities, and you have become better teachers than you were 2 years ago. I take this opportunity to congratulate each one of you for giving your best and living up to the challenges. On this day, as we honor you, what is my message for you? Dear teachers, teaching profession is not the most sought after career option for many. Most likely, you would not aspire the same for your own kids either. In spite of this reduction in the market value, teaching profession still retains its nobility and charm because of the role a teacher plays in the life of a child. In fact, teaching is more than a profession. It is a vocation. Every child needs a teacher, no matter how well educated the parents are, and some of them may be teachers themselves. Still, no parent is able to fulfill the educational needs and aspirations of a child without a teacher. At best, what they can do is to supplement the teachers. Therefore, Albert Einstein said, education is what remains after one has forgotten everything he learned in the school. We can recall our own memories. What do we recall as students? We don't remember the lessons, but we remember faces, the teachers. What the education is that, what remains after we have forgotten everything we have learned. You may be teaching different subjects, but dear teachers, your role is not limited to just subject teaching and transferring information to students. Irrespective of what subject you teach, your essential role as a teacher is to mold the people into free individuals and citizens of compassion, conscience, courage, and competence. It requires greater selflessness, love, patience, and generosity on your part. Your life should be an exemplary message and example to the students. The person that you are is the most important element in teaching. Not what we teach, not the subject, but what you are. Children unconsciously pick up values, attitudes, and mindsets from you that are going to define their growth and remain with them for the rest of their lives. For one can never lead anyone where one has not walked. Your conduct, interactions, corrections must educate the students in universal brotherhood, tolerance of different viewpoints, respect for all religions, and sensitivity to the poor. All education is either education for domestication or for freedom. True education must liberate students from the restless demons of unbridled competitiveness and insatiable greed and self-promotion. The greatest freedom that anyone can aspire for is the freedom from false self. I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. The greatest sculptor, Michelangelo, said, I saw the angel in the marble and I set him, carved him free. You are called to free the angel in all the students by liberating their true self from their false self. Carving the true self with eternal patience, faith and hope. Every child must be told in a thousand manner, in words and through experiences, that true self-worth and value comes not from personal ability, accumulated wealth, social status, but as God's children. Let us not domesticate our children to consumerism, greed, selfishness, domination, intolerance, and imprison them in the illusion and untruth for the rest of their lives. Let's free them to be individuals filled with genuine human and democratic values. Truth, goodness, and beauty are the three things everybody wants. We are created for these three things: truth, goodness, and beauty. They are the three fruits every human soul is designed to hunger for infinitely. Every education is a step in this direction. A desire for truth, goodness, and beauty has to be nurtured and fostered in every child who is entrusted to your care. How will you do this? We can attain truth, goodness, and beauty only through the practice of virtues called faith, love, and hope. What is the content of faith that we need to practice? Faith that God is our dear loving Father or parent, and we are His sons and daughters. That means we are all brothers and sisters, not enemies and competitors, but collaborators and co-workers, builders of destiny. Without this realization or practice of faith, we will never realize the truth. We will be imprisoned in the false self of egoism. Similarly, we must teach our children to attain goodness by the practice of love. In the absence of love, what remains is pure ugliness and distortion of universal brotherhood and sisterhood. And finally, hope is the virtue that helps us to contemplate the beauty of truth and goodness. Hope is that eternal source of energy and conviction that helps us to surmount the great obstacles and painful realities that surround our lives. That is why Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, said, education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Education is the kindling of a flame and not the filling of a vessel. Dear teachers, we love you because you enkindle this flame of truth, goodness, and beauty in every child by practicing and becoming the virtue of faith, love, and hope. This makes your profession noble and honorable. Once again, I express my sincere appreciation and wish you all the very best. Thank you, dear children, for your generous love and respect bestowed on your teachers through the beautiful cultural program here to take place and already what has taken place, which you have painstakingly prepared. Thank you for the principal and the school administration for this wonderful organization, and thank you all, and God bless each one of you. Thank you.
धन्यवाद Father.
You have guided us since the threshold of our school life. You have inculcated our young minds with the age-old principles of life, so that we may have a conscience of our own. You have accompanied us in our tumultuous journey of 10 years. So, I would request the choir to present a tribute to those 10 years. After silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music. Music is the literature of the heart. It commences where speech ends.
choir members for your melodious performance. ज्ञान से बड़ा कोई दान नहीं और गुरु से बड़ा कोई दानी नहीं। मैं प्रधानाचार्य महोदय से आग्रह करती हूँ कि वे आकर उन सभी सदाशय गुरुओं को उनके महान महायज्ञों के लिए अपने शब्दों से अनुग्रहित करें। मैं प्रधानाचार्य महोदय से आग्रह करती हूँ कि वे आकर उन सभी सदाशय गुरुओं को उनके महान महायज्ञों के लिए अपने शब्दों से अनुग्रहित करें।
Respected Father Rector, Father Gyan, our Administrator, Father Tony, our Treasurer, Father Anthony Prakash, Mr. Rajesh Shah, ex-PBA President, our three coordinators, dear teachers, students, and my dear parents, a very pleasant morning to each one of you. A famous educationist, Hargreaves, once wrote that the teaching is an emotional practice. The teaching is an emotional practice. It is more socially and emotionally demanding than the past. Teaching can be demoralizing for many reasons. Demotivated students, helicopter parents, lack of financial incentive, disorganized administration, poor working conditions, low self-esteem, lack of job security, excessive workload, etc. So all these social and emotional pressure can trigger in the teacher a burnout cascade and the stress. And the COVID-19 situation proved that how teachers can become vulnerable to these emotional conditions. Nevertheless, teachers of our school and many schools all over the world have proved that they can face such situations with the resilience and the sense of commitment. So when it comes to my teachers, I admire three qualities in them on this occasion of Teachers' Day. Adaptability, availability, and accessibility. All of you, my dear teachers, were able to adapt to the adverse situations created by this COVID-19 pandemic. And I am witness to this reality, how each one of you went through struggles, challenges, painstaking efforts. But deep within my heart, I always admired the adaptable character in each one of you. From ignorance in technology, you reached the level of mastery. Given your family situations, your health conditions, even technology issues, you were able to adapt to all the difficult moments that you face in the school, at home also. Therefore, I salute you and admire all the salient feature that I found in each one of you. And the availability. Many of you used to tell me that you would get calls from the parents, children, any moment, from morning till late evening. But you were available to all of them. You were accessible to all of them. And through which parents could recognize the sense of commitment and dedication in you. Many of the parents told me this. Teachers were very patient, very accessible, available for all our concerns. You know, many of you would get irritated, many of you would get annoyed. Even me as a human being would get annoyed when I get a number of calls. But it requires a tremendous amount of patience to respond to the calls of parents. Because we were put into such a situation. And you were available, you were accessible to the students and to parents. And that's what I always cherish when I think of my teachers, of all the four wings. More than being teachers, you all became learners in terms of technology and digital skills. You all proved that the distance didn't matter during the lockdown. But you all held the children very close to your heart. And you cared for them as if they were very close to you in the school physically. So well-being of our children was your utmost priority. Foregoing sleep, food and health, you were there to respond to the concerns of parents and their students. This is how the teachers stand out among all the professionals. So on the occasion of Teachers' Day, my dear teachers, I owe my sincere appreciation and gratitude to each one of you. So on this day, we must remember that this is not only a day of appreciation or gratitude, it is also a day of renewal, self-renewal. When we celebrate Teachers' Day, it is a reminder that we have chosen this vocation, this call, specially. And therefore, it is a time to renew ourselves also. Why did we choose this particular profession? What have been our experiences? And what do I have in future to contribute to the students, to the society, to the building of the nation? And that is why the Jesuit characteristics of education reminds you of 4 C's. Our utmost priority at this juncture, at this context of the world, is to prepare our children as men and women of competence, conscience, compassionate and commitment. You have been reminded of this time to time. But today also is a time to remind ourselves that we have these 4 responsibilities. Because the parents look up to us. The children will look up to us. The society will look up to us. The nation will look up to us. What do these teachers have to offer to the society, to the families, to the nation? And that is why we focus on these characteristics. 4 C's: competence, conscience, compassionate and commitment. And my dear teachers, I am very proud that I got an opportunity to be a teacher. Though I am a Jesuit priest, but it is my destiny maybe that I become a teacher and a principal. Someone sent me an article that I wrote in St. Michael's magazine when I was vice principal there. So the interviewers asked me, so what would you like to contribute to the society in future? So I said, I would like to write a book, My Destiny with teaching and learning. And that is my dream also. The experiences that I have been learning and I have been cherishing, and probably what would I acquire in the future, I will put together and give us a gift to the society. And that's my destiny. And that is your destiny. My destiny might change. Today I am a principal, I am a teacher. Later I may be even somewhere else. But yours is different. Your destiny is to be a teacher and make a contribution to the society and to the well-being of the children. And that's what I desire and I wish for each one of you. That you build the nation through all your commitment, all your dedication to the well-being of the children. So once again, my dear teachers, I congratulate you all the good things that you have been doing, and my wish and prayer for you also that you continue to enjoy a good health and excel in your teaching career. With that, I'd like to congratulate the 4 coordinators of today's program. They have been doing an excellent job, and also other teachers and the children who are supporting them and who are taking responsibility in making this day a memorable one for all the teachers. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Father, for your inspiring words. Today, the size of our emotions is so vast that it will be privileging to express our gratitude and admiration for you in words. So we are presenting our emotions through a beautiful piece of art by our graceful dancers.
10वीं अ की साक्षी राज से अनुरोध करती हूँ कि वे आए और विद्यालय के सभी विद्यार्थियों की ओर से शिक्षकों को संबोधित करें।
Do you know the relation between a gardener and a flower? The gardener nourishes the flower, and the flower blooms because of the gardener's tireless efforts. A teacher is exactly like a gardener who gives his or her best to nurture the flowers like students and make them spread their beauty throughout the world. A very pleasant morning to all of you. Reverend Father Rector, Father Principal, Father Peter Arokiasamy, Father Administrator, Father Anthony Prakash, Brother Treasurer, XPTA executives, coordinators of all the wings, respected teachers, and my dear friends. We all have gathered here to appreciate the hard work of every teacher. We have been celebrating this day as Teachers' Day with great zeal for the past 58 years on the birth anniversary of our beloved Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, who was the first Vice President and the second President of India. We all have acknowledged the boundless efforts of teachers, and teachers are the ones who enable us to attain personal fulfillment. And the great respect for them has extended to eternity, because when there was darkness all around due to the deadly impact of COVID-19, our teachers have enlightened us and made our path clear. The pandemic has affected people in various ways, physically as well as emotionally. The last year and even this year has been a roller coaster for all of us. But the teachers help the students in riding this coaster and overcoming all the challenges posed to us during this pandemic. Lockdown and COVID situations have made things difficult, not for only students, but also for teachers. And even then, they never gave up and worked around the clock for us by giving their best. I wish to conclude with these words. They help us to reach our goals. They prepare us to play life's roles. They help us to cross the difficult goals. We shall always remain indebted to such noble souls. Yes, they are our dear teachers. On behalf of all the students, I express my heartfelt thanks to all the teachers who spend their time, energy, and love to mold us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakshi. We are privileged to have the XPTA President, Mr. Ajit Kumar Chak with us. Now, I request him to extend gratitude to all the teachers and convey his words of appreciation in recognition of the undeterred efforts of the teachers in elevating the students.
Good morning, respected Father, Father Principal, all the respected teachers, the parents, some of you are here, all the students who are participating over in this day. No amount of word and gratitude can justify the contribution that the teachers make in one's life. Having said that, I also add that all of us in our lives, especially as professionals, as Father Rector and Father Principal also highlighted, we are students all our lives. So the teachers are also students. We learn and then we further impart our education to our students. Many things have been already said by the beloved Rector and Father Principal and the students also. One thing as a student that I realized all my life In fact, I was mentioning in the other day in the XPTA meeting also that few special features of teachers particularly, they remain in our head. Even for 30, 40 years, I have left my school 30 years back, but there are few teachers who always remain in my mind, they always remain in your heart. And those special features we have to develop as teachers always. One particular thing that I appreciated always in teachers was that once a student raises his hand, they never used to rebuke. Or because generally what happens is that when we are giving a lecture, even in my profession, if I am making an argument, the other party will definitely poke his hand, and so that he derails my argument, he will try to disturb my concentration. But then we have to recapitulate our own preparation, and then we have to continue. So one thing that I always appreciated was that if as a teacher, someone raises, a student of yours raises his hand, he must not be rebuked. If we don't have time, we can give him, maybe call them, हम लोग क्या system है, we call them to our teacher's room separately and all that. Because once that rebuke comes, the confidence of the student goes. He will never raise his hand again to ask something, some confusion, some other thing. So I don't want to give any tips to all of you. I beg pardon from all of you. This is what my experience was. Secondly, my principal, Mr. Tian, he is no more. He is right in this year only due to COVID. My condolence goes to him. My respect goes to him. When we used to raise our hands, he never used to ask the first time to the brighter students. He always used to ask the first question from the lesser brighter students. This way, and generally, if the student, if by myself, I find no proper answer to give, still he would encourage us, Ajit, you got this point you missed out. So these things matter a lot. They give confidence to the students who are lesser brighter. Then, as teachers, we ensure that a wholesome training of all the strength, the entire strength of the class takes place. Everyone gets that kind of confidence with the teacher, the connection with the teacher. And this is what I recollect today by expressing my thoughts before you. I personally have always been sharing with the school administration in my association with XPT for the last 7-8 years, in fact more than that, that I as a person have utmost respect for all the teachers in my life. In fact, my guru, the last under whom I groomed as an advocate, I have the utmost respect for every one of them. We as students can never ever express our gratitude either in words or by any of the expression we have. And so it is just phenomenal what you do. Father said it is the least lucrative profession that you have chosen, but it is the most noblest one. You must be assured about that. And we have our utmost respect for each one of you. From the side of the parents, all the students, I extend my deepest gratitude and respect and love to all of you. Thank you. Have a teacher. Have a nice day.
धन्यवाद महोदय, आपके शब्दों ने हमें बहुत प्रेरित किया। गुरु तेरे उपकार का कैसे चुकाऊं मोल, होवे है कीमत हीरे मोती की, पर गुरु होवे है अनमोल। नृत्य नाटिका रंगमंच से जुड़ी एक विधा है जिसके द्वारा मनोरंजन के साथ साथ नैतिक मूल्यों और अपने भाव को लोगों तक पहुंचाया जाता है। तो आइए एक नृत्य नाटिका के माध्यम से हम अपने अनमोल गुरुओं के प्रति आभार व्यक्त करें।
नो, मैं आज कुछ नहीं सुनना चाहता। आज मुझे मेरे स्कूल में चीफ गेस्ट बनाया गया है, चाहे कितना भी जरूरी काम हो। यू ऑल मैनेज। नाउ नो फोन कॉल्स। टेक केयर, बाय बाय। ड्राइवर, गाड़ी जल्दी निकालो, मैं देर नहीं होना चाहता। हेलो अहमद, मैं निकल रहा हूँ, तुम भी जल्दी स्कूल पहुंचो, वहीं मिलते हैं। बाय।
पता नहीं कहाँ रहती, अभी तक तो उसे आ जाना चाहिए था ना। बच्चों, be ready, चीफ गेस्ट बस कुछ ही देर में पहुंचने वाले हैं। Show is about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to begin. हे शुभारंभ हो शुभारंभ मंगल बेला आई सपनों की लहरी में दिल की बाजी रे शहनाई
Good morning, audience. आज के इंटर स्कूल कंपटीशन का आगाज पहले प्रतियोगी परंपरा के अनुसार ईश्वर की आराधना से करें। तो पेश है साहित्य। Your dancing and your energy are beyond the best. Audience, मैं माफी चाहती हूँ, मुझे कुछ देर के लिए प्रोग्राम को रोकना पड़ेगा। अब हमारे बीच कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट श्री R.K. श्रीवास्तव एवं मिस्टर अहमद आ चुके हैं। मैं चाहती हूँ कि जोरदार तालियों से उनका मंच पे स्वागत किया जाए।
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
अब मैं चाहूंगी कि उनके सम्मान में सर वेंकट टोकन ऑफ अप्रिसिएशन के तौर पर यह बुके डीएम सर को भेंट करें।
सर पहचाना आपने? मैं राहुल। राहुल? जी सर, राहुल। और मैं अहमद। याद है आपको 1992 बैच?
तुमने ही मेरे पैसे लिए हैं ना?
मैं क्यों तुम्हारे पैसे लूंगा?
तुम कल ही ना बोल रहे थे तुम्हें 100 रुपए की जरूरत है, अगर कहीं से भी मिल जाए तो बात बन जाएगी।
हाँ कहा था, पैसे की जरूरत तो अब भी है, पर मैं तुम्हारे पैसे क्यों लूंगा?
स्टॉप स्टॉप स्टॉप। स्टॉप है। क्या हो रहा है यहाँ? क्यों लड़ रहे हो तुम लोग? Why are you fighting?
सर अहमद ने मेरे पैसे चुराए हैं।
नो सर, मैंने इसके पैसे नहीं लिए।
तो फिर पैसे गए कहाँ? और तुम्हें पता है ना स्कूल में पैसे लाना मना है।
सॉरी सर, पर वो पैसे मैंने पुअर रिलीफ फंड में देने के लिए लाए थे।
ग्रेट। अहमद, क्या तुमने सच में पैसे लिए हैं?
नो सर।
ये नोबेल कॉज के लिए डोनेशन के पैसे थे। अगर लिए हैं तो उसे वापस कर दो।
ट्रस्ट मी, मुझे पैसे की जरूरत है, पर मैंने पैसे नहीं लिए। काश मेरे पास पैसे होते तो मैं इसे झूठ बोलकर भी लौटा देता कि पैसे मैंने ही चोरी किए थे, पर मेरे पास कोई पैसे नहीं है।
ओके रोहित, ये लो 100 रुपए और पुअर रिलीफ फंड में जमा करवा दो।
थैंक्स सर।
और हाँ, पैसे संभाल कर रखना, फिर नहीं खो देना। अच्छा अहमद, तुम्हें पैसे की क्या जरूरत है?
मुझे मेरी माँ के लिए चश्मा खरीदना है सर।
चश्मा खरीदना है? पर तुम्हें क्यों? तुम्हारे पापा?
पापा इस दुनिया में नहीं है सर।
आई एम सॉरी।
मेरी माँ लोगों के कपड़े सिलकर घर चलाती है। बहुत मुश्किल से घर का खर्च निकलता है। अम्मी को दिखता भी कम है। मैं अगर उन्हें चश्मा दे दूंगा तो वो ज्यादा कपड़े सिल सकेंगी, और मैं ज्यादा पढ़कर बड़े होकर कुछ बच जाऊंगा तो उन्हें कपड़े नहीं सिलने पड़ेंगे। मैं उन्हें फिर जीवन की सारी खुशियां दे सकूंगा। बस इसीलिए मुझे पैसे चाहिए थे, पर मैंने रोहित के पैसे नहीं चुराए सर।
अहमद, तू बहुत सच्चा बच्चा है। ये लो 100 रुपए, अपनी अम्मी को चश्मा ला देना और खूब मन लगा कर पढ़ना। ये 100 रुपए और लो, जब कुछ बन जाओगे तो ये उधार मुझे लौटा देना।
सर मुझे दूसरे 100 की जरूरत नहीं।
रख लो अहमद, उधार के पैसे सोने नहीं देते और ये भी तुम्हें सोने नहीं देगा, और ये हमेशा तुम्हें याद दिलाता रहेगा कि तुम्हें कुछ बनना है।
सर कल के टेस्ट के लिए टेंशन हो रहा है।
ना रोहित, ये सोचने की जरूरत भी नहीं है, कोई टेंशन लेने की जरूरत
अहमद भी काफी डिप्रेस है।
ऐसा है क्या अहमद?
जी सर।
डिप्रेशन तुम्हारे लिए नहीं, अभी तुम्हारी उम्र ही क्या है?
मैं आजकल कुछ परेशान रह रहा हूँ।
खूब मन लगा के पढ़ो, वादा करो मुझसे कि कभी डिप्रेस नहीं होगे और खूब मन लगा कर पढ़कर अच्छा नंबर लाओगे। डोंट टेक टेंशन नानबा, आई विल सिंग अ गुड स्टोरी फॉर यू।
कुट्टी नानबा, ये क्या है सर?
कुट्टी मीन्स छोटी, नानबा फ्रेंड्स। My dear friends, I'll sing a short story for you.
Tata.
Let me sing a good story. Pay attention, listen to me.
Nana, English.
Just listen. Let me sing a good story. Pay attention, listen to me. If you want to take it on, spend attention, leave it, baby. Life is very short and always be happy. Follow with the problems will come and go. When the children in my way. Together, man. Students, let me sing a good story. Pay attention, listen to me. If you want to take it on, then attention, listen to me. Life is very short and always be happy. These things ain't now. Problems will come and go. But the children in my way. No tension, baby. Hard work to menu, smart work to menu, self-motivation, nadanidane, education menu, dedication menu, self-valuation, nalapani pare, don't make the person spreading hatred, mockery, we not give it always be polite and just don't be nasty. You be the reason to make someone happy. Life is very short, Namba. Always be happy. Follow with the problems will come and go. When the children are one last time. Let me sing a good story. Pay attention, listen to me. If you want to take it on, spend attention, listen to me. Life is very short and always be happy. These things ain't now. Problems will come and go. When the children are hey, that was my good story. That was my good story. That was my good story.
अहमद, आज टेस्ट है ना दोस्त, और देखो ना, मैंने ठीक से तैयारी भी नहीं की।
मेरी भी वही हालत है दोस्त, पर मैंने सर से वादा किया है कि मैं अच्छे नंबर से पास करूंगा। अरे लगता है समय हो गया है। टाइम क्या हो रहा है?
5 मिनट बचे हैं।
अरे वाह रोहित, तेरी घड़ी तो बड़ी शानदार है।
बहुत महंगी घड़ी है, मेरे मामा जी ने मुझे बर्थडे पे गिफ्ट किया है।
चलो चलो, एग्जाम का समय हो गया है।
हाँ हाँ चलो, ऑल द बेस्ट।
Good morning, dear students. इस एग्जाम से पहले मैं कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शन देना चाहूँगा। ये एग्जाम 2 शिफ्ट में होंगे। पहले शिफ्ट 20 मिनट्स का, फिर एक 5 मिनट का ब्रेक, फिर दूसरा शिफ्ट 20 मिनट्स का। Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all the best. Your time starts now. Time over. Stop writing. Stop writing. 5 मिनट का ब्रेक है। सभी लोग ब्रेक के बाद यही मिलेंगे।
कैसा गया? बहुत अच्छा गया। तुम्हारा कैसा गया? मेरा ये क्वेश्चन छूट गया। अरे रोहित, एग्जाम कैसा गया? बस चला गया। अच्छा, समय कितना बचा है? अभी बताता हूँ। अरे मैंने अपनी घड़ी यही रखी थी। कहाँ गई? मेरी घड़ी ही।
ये शोर कैसा? रोहित?
सर।
अब क्या हुआ?
किसी ने मेरी घड़ी चुरा ली। बहुत महंगी घड़ी थी। मामा जी ने मुझे बर्थडे गिफ्ट दी थी।
घड़ी चुरा ली? ये कैसे हो सकता है? ब्रेक में तुम सभी यही थे, न कोई बाहर गया, न बाहर से कोई अंदर आया, फिर घड़ी तुम लोगों में से ही किसी ने चुराई होगी। अगर ऐसा है तो रोहित को उसकी घड़ी वापस कर दो और अपनी गलती स्वीकार करो। गलती स्वीकार कर पश्चाताप करना बुरी बात नहीं। अब लगता है मुझे आप लोगों की तलाशी लेनी होगी। मैं अभी आया। सभी अपनी आंखों में पट्टी बांध लें और एक एक कर मेरे पास आए। मैं शब्द की तलाशी लूंगा।
मैं भी सर।
हाँ रोहित, तुम भी। सभी अपनी जगह पे जाके बैठ जाए और आंखों से अपनी पट्टियां उतार लें। गलती इंसान से ही होती है। कभी कभी लोग इंसान को अंधा कर देते हैं। वो सोच नहीं पाता कि सही क्या है और गलत क्या। बच्चों, अभी समय है आगे बढ़ने का, पढ़ने का, पढ़ लिख कर कुछ बनने का। चलो दूसरे शिफ्ट का एग्जाम स्टार्ट करते हैं। All the best to you all.
जिंदगी चल तेरा शुक्रिया, शायद मिले न तो कल की सुबह। जो दिया हमने हंस के लिया, ऐ जिंदगी तेरा चल शुक्रिया।
सर मैंने ही रोहित की घड़ी चुराई थी। मुझे माफ कर दीजिए सर। मैं उस दिन इतना लज्जित था और पकड़े जाने के डर से शर्मसार हुए जा रहा था। खुदकुशी तक के ख्याल आ रहे थे। आपने मेरी ना सिर्फ जिंदगी बचाई बल्कि एक सबक दिया, और आज आपके दिए जीवन और सीख ने मुझे क्या से क्या बना दिया।
और सर मैं भी आपको आपके 100 रुपए का उधार चुकाने आया हूँ। आज मैं एक सफल इंसान हूँ जिसकी सफलता आपकी उदारता ने लिखी है। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
पर सर आज तक मैं ये नहीं समझ पाया कि आपने मुझे चोरी करने की कोई सजा नहीं दी, ना ही मुझे डांटा। क्यों सर, क्यों?
सच बताओ राहुल, मुझे भी नहीं पता था कि चोरी किसने की थी। मैंने भी अपनी आंखों में काली पट्टी बांध रखी थी। मैं जानता तो था कि उसी क्लास के किसी बच्चे ने चोरी की थी, पर मैं नहीं चाहता था कि मेरा कोई भी स्टूडेंट मेरी नजरों से गिर जाए।
गुरु गोविंदो
budding artists for your impactful performance. You teachers have been dedicated soulfully in molding our characters and shaping our personalities. We are really grateful to you teachers for eternizing our knowledge and the ethical values within us. With this, we have come to the end of this momentous event. Let the gratefulness overflow into blessings all around you. I request the coordinator of the higher section, Kumud ma'am, who has been the backbone of this event, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Divyanshu. The roots of all goodness lie in the soil of appreciation for goodness. Good morning, everyone. Reverend Father Rector, Father Principal, Father Peter Aruki Asami, Father Administrator, Brother Treasurer, Father Anthony Prakash, ex-PTA President Mr. Ajit Kumar Jha, coordinators of the primary and pre-primary wings, dear parents, respected teachers, and my dear children. Today is a very special day for us, and this day is made even more special by all those who have worked tirelessly to make this day a memorable one. So I take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to everyone who have worked both on and behind the stage to make this day so memorable for each one of us. First and foremost, I thank the Almighty God for giving us an opportunity to celebrate this day today. My sincere appreciation goes to the committee members headed by Mr. Ravindra, Mrs. Shagufta, Ms. Preeti, and Mr. Anuranjan for having coordinated today's program so meticulously, planning out every minute details, ensuring proper execution. My deep sense of gratitude goes to Father Rector for his gracious presence and his words of blessing. I also thank Father Administrator, Brother Treasurer, Father Anthony Prakash, the ex-PTA President, Mr. Ajit Kumar Jha, for having spared their precious time to be with us. I would like to thank Mrs. Shweta and Mrs. Sanober for the grand welcome of teachers. I express my gratitude to Mrs. Bani, along with the Kids Zone teachers, for making special badges for all of us. I thank Ms. Rita and Ms. Diksha for taking care of lighting and garlanding of the portrait of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. I would like to express my thanks to Mrs. Tavishi and Mrs. Anjana for preparing the anchors so well today. I thank Mrs. Sunita for preparing the students for such a melodious song that really touched our hearts. My appreciation to Mrs. Supriya and Mrs. Poonima for beautifully decorating the stage. Both of you have proved that creativity is magic. I would thank Mrs. Saroj, Mrs. Jacinta, Mrs. Nancy, and Mrs. Sangeeta for preparing the students for such a soulful prayer dance. Gratitude is the most beautiful way to express all that's in your heart with two words, thank you. This is all we witnessed in the skit presented by our beloved children. I thank Mr. Ravindra for preparing the children for such a touching skit. It is truly said that dance is the joy of movement and the heart of life. My heartfelt thanks to Mr. Sanjeev and Ms. Priyanka for preparing the students for the energetic fusion folk dance. I thank the coordinators, the two coordinators, Mr. Amar Prakash and Mrs. Shivani Bhaskar, for all their unfailing support to make today's program so special and memorable one for us. I thank Mr. Ravindra, Mrs. Shagufta, Ms. Preeti and Mr. Anuranjan who have planned some games for us that will be conducted shortly. A leader is like a shepherd. He stays behind the flock, letting the most nimble go ahead, whereupon the others follow, not realizing that all along they are directed from behind. I express my sincere gratitude to our leader, Reverend Father Principal, for such a beautiful message today, and also for guiding us with his valuable and timely suggestions, and for being our pillar of strength always. I would like to thank Sakshi of 10A for her beautiful speech. I congratulate our two anchors for today, Divyanshu of 9A and Shanvi of 9B, for doing their job so diligently and exceptionally well. I thank all the volunteers for today, Shreya of 9A, Suchika, Prachi and Tanishka of 10A, Molly and Pratik of 10B, Hardik of 10C, Anantika, Ishita, Kaushiki and Riya of 10D. Thank you so much, children, for being our hands and feet today. And how can I forget my beloved students who have left no stone unturned to make our day a memorable one through their vibrant and touching performances. My dear children, my sincere appreciation to each one of you for all your tireless efforts in making this day so very special for each one of us. मैं अपने सहकर्मी भाइयों और बहनों को उनके सहयोग के लिए धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगी. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. And now I would like to hand over the mic to Father Principal for further proceedings.
Thank you. So dear teachers, we come to the end of the first phase of our celebration. After a tea break, we'll come here for the second phase of celebration, where we'll have some entertainment and